The massive exploration vessel of the Galactic Confederation drifted silently through the star-speckled darkness. Its sensors had been tracking an unusual signal for several standard cycles, a transmission that defied all known communication protocols. Captain Varen, a tall, blue-skinned navigator from the planet Karis, studied the incoming data with growing unease. "Translate," he commanded his communication specialist, a tentacled being named Lyric. Lyric's appendages moved rapidly across the holographic interface. Strange symbols began to resolve into something comprehensible. At first, the message seemed like pure chaos, a jumble of sounds, emotions, and seemingly random information. But as the translation continued, a pattern emerged. "Captain," Lyric said, his voice trembling, "it appears to be a communication attempt." The message was unlike anything in the Confederation's vast database. It contained music, laughter, angry shouts, complex mathematical equations, and what seemed like random pieces of cultural information. There were references to something called rock and roll, discussions about a sport named football, and complex technical specifications for what appeared to be primitive combustion engines. Varen leaned closer. The transmission wasn't just a message. It was an entire cultural snapshot, a wild, unfiltered representation of a civilization that seemed to have no understanding of proper diplomatic protocols. "Source?" he asked. Lyric's instruments pinpointed the origin, a small blue-green planet in an unremarkable solar system. "Earth." The next transmission came suddenly, loud and abrupt. A voice boomed through the ship's communication systems, causing several crew members to jump in their seats. "Hello, if anyone is listening. This is Earth KLing. Anybody out there?" The voice was loud, aggressive, and filled with an energy that felt almost threatening. It was followed by what sounded like background laughter and someone saying, "Dude, they probably can't even understand us." Another voice responded, "That's the point, Mike. We're making first contact." Varen felt a chill run through his body. These beings seemed completely unaware of the delicate nature of interstellar communication. They were loud, unpredictable, seemingly uncontrolled. More transmissions followed. Some were scientific discussions about quantum mechanics. Others were heated arguments about political systems. There were songs, jokes, technical manuals, and what appeared to be cooking recipes, all mixed together in a confusing, overwhelming stream of information. The Confederation's sinological experts were baffled. Most advanced civilizations carefully controlled their first interactions with potential alien life. They would send precise, mathematical signals, carefully constructed diplomatic messages. But these humans, they were broadcasting everything, with no filter, no restraint. "They don't seem to understand the concept of selective communication," one expert noted. "It's like they're intentionally trying to overwhelm us with information." As the days passed, more transmissions came. The humans seemed simultaneously aware and unaware that they might be communicating with alien life. Some messages were serious scientific discussions, while others were casual conversations that seemed completely oblivious to their potential cosmic significance. One particularly memorable transmission featured what seemed to be a group of humans discussing how they would react to alien contact. "I'd totally invite them for a barbecue," one voice said. "Are you crazy?" Another responded. "What if they're hostile? Then we'll deal with it. We're humans. We always find a way." That casual confidence, that complete lack of fear, was what truly terrified the Galactic Confederation. These humans didn't just not fear the unknown. They seemed excited by it, ready to face any challenge with a mixture of humor, scientific curiosity, and raw, unbridled energy. Captain Varen looked at his crew. Their expressions ranged from confusion to outright fear. One thing was certain. First contact with humans would change everything they knew about intelligent life in the universe, and they had no idea how right they were. The Void Devourers appeared without warning. First, entire star systems began to vanish. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply erased. as if massive sections of space were being methodically consumed by an invisible, insatiable hunger. The Galactic Confederation's most advanced scanning technologies could detect only the faintest traces of their passage. Quantum disruptions that suggested something beyond conventional matter was consuming entire planetary systems. Admiral Krell, the lead strategist of the Confederation's Defense Council, studied the holographic star maps with growing dread. Red markers indicated systems already lost. Blue markers showed remaining populations, and a spreading dark zone represented the Void Devourer's advancing front. "They consume everything," whispered Research Director Venna, her multiple eyes blinking in a pattern that revealed deep anxiety. Not just matter, not just energy, something deeper. The preliminary reports were terrifying. Wherever the Void Devourers passed, they left nothing. No radiation, no debris, no trace of previous existence. Entire civilizations, planetary ecosystems, complex technological infrastructures, all vanished as if they had never existed. Initial confrontations with the threat had been catastrophic. The Confederation's most advanced warships approached the dark zones and simply disappeared. No communication, no distress signals, complete erasure. "Our weapons are ineffective," Krell muttered, reviewing battle reports. Plasma cannons, quantum disruptors, gravitational warfare technologies. Nothing seemed to even slow the Void Devourer's advance. What made the threat more horrifying was its apparent intelligence. The Void Devourers didn't simply consume randomly. They seemed to plan, to strategize, to select their targets with a cold, calculated precision that suggested something beyond mere biological or mechanical consumption. Scientific analysis suggested they were not a traditional enemy, not a species, not a technological civilization. Something else entirely, a cosmic entity that consumed not just physical matter, but the very fabric of existence itself. The Confederation's best minds worked frantically. Meetings lasted standard cycles without interruption. Strategies were proposed, analyzed, and discarded. Each potential solution revealed another layer of the threat's complexity. "We are facing extinction," Admiral Krell finally declared during an emergency council session. "Not just of our civilization, but of everything we understand as reality." That's when someone mentioned humans. The initial reaction was dismissive. Humans, that chaotic, unpredictable species they had only recently discovered. They were technological infants compared to the Confederation's millennia-old civilizations. Their weapons were primitive. Their understanding of cosmic interactions was rudimentary. But then Dr. Venna presented her analysis. "Humans are different," she said, her translation device rendering her words with clinical precision. "They do not approach problems like we do. Where we see limitations, they see challenges. Where we calculate, they innovate." The council chamber fell silent. The transmission recordings from the initial human contact played again. Loud, energetic, seemingly random. But now, viewed through the lens of impending extinction, something else became visible. Adaptability, creativity, an almost irrational refusal to accept defeat. "They might be our only option," Venna continued, "not because they are stronger, but because they are fundamentally unpredictable." Admiral Krell knew she was right. Traditional warfare, mathematical precision, calculated risk. None of these had worked against the Void Devourers. Perhaps what they needed was not a perfect strategy, but an imperfect, human-style approach. A desperate plan began to form. They would need to overcome their fear, their prejudice, their carefully constructed understanding of technological warfare. They would need to ask the humans for help, and hope that the species they had initially viewed as dangerous and chaotic would be willing to save a galaxy that had barely acknowledged their existence. The fate of countless civilizations now hung in a delicate balance, waiting for humanity's response. The diplomatic shuttle approached Earth with all the caution of a wounded animal approaching a potential predator. Inside, Ambassador Kren and his team were a bundle of nerves, their advanced translation devices primed and ready for any possible communication scenario. Earth looked deceptively peaceful from orbit. Blue oceans, green landmasses, white clouds, a planet that gave no indication of the potential salvation it might represent. The transmission coordinates had been precise, leading them to a small facility in what human maps called Colorado, United States. As they descended, the shuttle's sensors picked up multiple tracking signals. Military installations, satellite networks, communication grids. The humans were watching, waiting. The landing site was a large complex that seemed to blend into the mountain landscape. No grand welcome, no ceremonial guards, just a simple concrete building with several communication arrays and what appeared to be defensive positions. A group of humans waited outside. Not military personnel in formal uniforms, but a diverse collection of individuals that defied any standard classification. A tall woman with short gray hair, a younger man with dark skin wearing what looked like a technical jumpsuit, an older gentleman with glasses and a weathered jacket, another with multiple technical devices strapped to various parts of their body. Ambassador Kren stepped out first, his translator working overtime to manage his racing thoughts. "Greetings," he began, attempting to sound diplomatic. "We are representatives of the Galactic Confederation, and we require assistance." The humans looked at each other. The woman with gray hair stepped forward. Her name tag read Director Williams. "You mean," she said, her voice dry and slightly sardonic, "after avoiding direct contact with us for months, you now want our help?" The Confederation team shifted uncomfortably. This was not how first contact was supposed to proceed. "We are facing a threat that could destroy multiple civilizations," Kren explained. "The Void Devourers are consuming entire star systems. Our conventional technologies are ineffective." Another human, the one in the technical jumpsuit, spoke up. "Void Devourers. Sounds like a bad sci-fi movie title." Director Williams raised a hand, silencing her colleague. "Walk me through the specifics," she said. "Every detail. We don't make decisions based on dramatic statements." Over the next several hours, the Confederation team presented their data. Star maps, sensor readings, footage of entire systems vanishing, mathematical projections of the threat's expansion. The humans listened, asked questions, challenged assumptions, requested additional data. Their approach was neither panicked nor dismissive. A calculated, methodical assessment that both impressed and unnerved the alien delegation. "So you want us to what?" the younger technical expert asked. "Develop a weapon. Create a defense strategy." "We need a solution," Ambassador Kren said. "Something our best minds cannot conceive." Director Williams smiled. It was not a comforting smile. "Interesting," she said. "You're asking humans to solve a problem because your traditional methods failed, because we think differently." The human team began discussing among themselves, not in hushed diplomatic tones, but in a rapid, almost chaotic exchange of ideas. Technical terms mixed with cultural references, jokes interspersed with serious scientific discussions. The Confederation team watched, bewildered and slightly terrified. After what seemed like hours, Director Williams turned back to the aliens. "We'll help," she said, "but on our terms. Full access to our research, no restrictions, no secrets." Ambassador Kren realized they had no choice. The humans weren't asking for permission. They were stating a condition. The reluctant alliance was formed. Humanity would face the Void Devourers, and nothing would ever be the same again. The research facility buzzed with an energy that terrified the Galactic Confederation observers. Humans moved with a chaotic purpose that defied all standard scientific protocols. Whiteboards covered in complex equations shared space with action movie posters. Coffee machines stood next to quantum computing arrays. Loud music played in the background while brilliant minds worked. Dr. Mark Rodriguez, the lead human strategist, stood before a holographic display of the Void Devourer's known trajectory. His team was anything but traditional. A quantum physicist stood next to a video game designer. A retired military strategist discussed theories with a neural network programmer. An environmental psychologist argued with a materials engineer. They consume more than physical matter, Rodriguez explained to the alien observers. They're eating something fundamental to existence itself. The Confederation scientists looked confused. The human team saw this as a challenge, not a limitation. We're going to fight them with everything we've got, Rodriguez continued. And by everything, I mean exactly that. Everything. The first prototype was nothing like a traditional weapon. It looked like a bizarre combination of a musical instrument, a complex computer system, and something that might have been designed by a child on a sugar rush. Dr. Elena Chen, the team's quantum manipulation expert, adjusted several strange-looking devices. We're creating a resonance disruptor, she explained, but not like anything you've seen before. The alien observers watched in growing confusion and terror. Conventional warfare involved precise calculations, standardized approaches, carefully measured responses. This was something else entirely. One of the prototypes involved using complex musical frequencies combined with quantum entanglement technology. Another used a combination of psychological warfare techniques and advanced material science. A third device looked like it had been cobbled together from an old satellite, several gaming consoles, and what appeared to be parts of a coffee machine. Our strength is adaptation, Rodriguez told the alien delegation. The Void Devourers expect logical responses. We're going to give them chaos. The first test came sooner than expected. A small Void Devourer advance team approached a research outpost. The Confederation's previous encounters had always ended in total destruction. This time, humans were ready. As the dark mass approached, the research team activated their first prototype. It wasn't a weapon in any traditional sense. Instead, it broadcast a complex series of signals, part mathematical equation, part musical composition, part psychological trigger. The Void Devourers stopped. For the first time in their known existence, they hesitated. The signal contained multiple layers of information, quantum-entangled frequencies that disrupted their fundamental consumption mechanism, emotional resonances that seemed to confuse their computational processes, mathematical patterns that created cognitive dissonance in their collective consciousness. We're not just attacking their physical structure, Dr. Chen explained. We're attacking their fundamental way of processing existence. The human team celebrated with high fives, loud music, and what appeared to be some form of ritualistic dance. The alien observers were simultaneously impressed and terrified. Rodriguez turned to the Confederation representatives. We're just getting started, he said with a grin that was equal parts excitement and something darker. The Void Devourers had encountered many civilizations. They had consumed entire star systems with mathematical precision. But they had never encountered humans before, and humans play by entirely different rules. The unconventional warfare had begun, and the universe would never be the same again. The Confederation scientists watched in complete bewilderment as the human team prepared their next line of defense. What they were planning defied every known principle of warfare, scientific understanding, and rational thought. Dr. Rosa Martinez, a psychological warfare expert, stood before a massive holographic display. Her team included artists, musicians, writers, and what seemed like the most random collection of professionals ever assembled for a military mission. Emotions are our weapon, she explained to the alien observers. The Void Devourers consume matter and energy, but they cannot process complex emotional experiences. The first demonstration left the alien delegation speechless. A massive projection filled the research facility. It began with a simple piece of music, a haunting melody that seemed to carry millennia of human experience. Layers of sound mixed with visual representations of human history, moments of joy, moments of profound sorrow. The complexity of human emotional existence compressed into a multi-sensory experience. The quantum sensors tracking the nearby Void Devourer advance team showed something impossible. The dark mass of consumption actually hesitated. They're trying to process what they're experiencing, Dr. Martins said quietly. But they can't. Humans are too complex, too unpredictable. The next phase was even more bizarre. A group of artists began creating real-time art installations that broadcast complex emotional narratives. A painter worked alongside a quantum physicist. A jazz musician collaborated with a mathematician. Their creation was both a weapon and a form of expression. One of the Confederation observers leaned close to Rodriguez. "How is this a weapon?" he asked, utterly confused. Rodriguez simply smiled. "Watch." The art installation began to pulse with quantum-entangled frequencies. But it wasn't just a scientific process. It was a story. A deeply human story of survival, love, loss, and hope. The Void Devourers had consumed countless civilizations, but they had never encountered a species that could weaponize its own emotional complexity. The dark mass approaching their defensive line began to fragment. "They cannot understand us," Dr. Martinez explained. "Our ability to feel multiple contradictory emotions simultaneously. Our capacity for hope in the face of certain destruction. Our weird sense of humor. Our ability to create beauty even in the most terrible circumstances." A musician began playing an ancient human instrument, a guitar. The sound mixed with complex mathematical algorithms. A writer typed furious narratives that were simultaneously translated into quantum signals. A dancer moved in patterns that disrupted fundamental physical laws. The Void Devourers encountered something they could not process: chaos, emotion, creativity, unpredictability. "We're not just fighting," Rodriguez said. "We're expressing the very essence of what it means to be human." The alien observers realized something profound. Humans were not just preparing for war. They were turning warfare into a form of art, a complex, multi-layered expression of existence that defied all conventional understanding. As the first wave of Void Devourers retreated, the human team celebrated. Not with military precision, but with music, laughter, spontaneous dancing, and what appeared to be some kind of ritualistic food consumption. The Confederation scientists made careful notes, but they knew they would never truly understand. Humans were not just fighting the Void Devourers. They were teaching them what it meant to be alive. And the universe would never be the same again. The spatial anomaly stretched before them like an open wound in the fabric of reality. Massive quantum disruptions created a battlefield unlike anything the Galactic Confederation had ever witnessed. At the center of this cosmic chaos stood the human intervention team, looking almost impossibly small against the backdrop of infinite darkness. Commander Jack Harrison stood at the control center, his team a mixture of scientists, artists, and warriors. The Confederation observers watched with a combination of hope and terror. This was humanity's final chance to stop the Void Devourers. "We're not just fighting an enemy," Harrison announced. "We're rewriting the rules of existence." The human strategy was maddeningly complex. Multiple layers of attack that defied traditional military logic. Quantum entanglement devices mixed with emotional resonance generators. Musical frequencies designed to disrupt fundamental physical laws. Artistic installations that could potentially tear apart the fabric of space-time. Dr. Elena Chen, the quantum physicist, monitored a series of impossible machines. "We're creating a cognitive dissonance field," she explained to the bewildered alien scientists. "Something that the Void Devourers cannot process or consume." The first wave of Void Devourers approached. Massive dark tendrils that had consumed entire civilizations now faced something they could not understand. The human team wasn't just defending. They were challenging the very concept of existence. A musician began to play a complex melody that somehow translated into quantum signals. An artist created a real-time painting that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensional states. A mathematician worked on equations that seemed to breathe with living energy. The spatial anomaly began to pulse with an impossible rhythm. "They're trying to understand us," Harrison said quietly. "And that's our greatest weapon." The Confederation observers watched in complete amazement. Humans were turning warfare into a form of performance art. Each action was simultaneously a weapon, a scientific experiment, and an emotional expression. The Void Devourers hesitated. For the first time in their known existence, they encountered a species that didn't just resist consumption. They challenged the very concept of consumption itself. Massive holographic displays showed the battle from multiple perspectives. Where traditional weapons would have failed, human creativity was creating impossible disruptions. Musical frequencies mixed with quantum algorithms. Emotional narratives became physical barriers. Art became a form of advanced technology. "We're showing them what it means to be alive," Dr. Chen said. The battle was not just physical. It was philosophical, emotional, a challenge to the fundamental understanding of existence. The human team moved with a chaotic precision that terrified and amazed their alien allies. They weren't just fighting. They were expressing the entire range of human experience: hope, fear, love, anger, creativity, as a form of advanced warfare. Massive dark tendrils of the void devourers began to fragment. Not destroyed, not defeated, but fundamentally changed. Commander Harrison turned to the Confederation observers. "We're not just saving your civilization," he said. "We're teaching them what it means to truly be alive." The spatial anomaly pulsed with impossible colors. Quantum frequencies mixed with emotional resonances. The boundary between art, science, and warfare disappeared. And in that moment, the universe held its breath. Humans had become something more than a species. They had become a force of nature. The final confrontation was not about destruction. It was about transformation. The conference hall was silent. Representatives from thousands of alien civilizations sat stunned, trying to comprehend what had just happened. The void devourers were not destroyed. They were transformed. Commander Jack Harrison stood at the center of the massive chamber, looking surprisingly ordinary. Behind him, holographic displays showed fragments of the battle, impossible moments of creativity, scientific innovation, and pure human unpredictability. Ambassador Kren, who had first made contact with humans, stepped forward. His species looked different now, changed. The fear in their eyes had been replaced by something else: respect, wonder, a profound understanding. "You didn't just save us," Kren said, his translation device capturing every nuance of emotion. "You changed the fundamental understanding of what resistance means." The human team looked almost embarrassed by the praise. Dr. Elena Chen adjusted her glasses. Rodriguez smiled his trademark half-smile. Martins looked like she was trying not to laugh. The holographic displays told a story beyond simple warfare. They showed how humans had approached the void devourers not as an enemy to be destroyed, but as a complex problem to be understood. Where other civilizations saw threat, humans saw opportunity. Where others calculated, humans created. "We didn't defeat them," Harrison explained. "We communicated with them in a way no one else could." The Galactic Confederation's scientific records would later show something unprecedented. The void devourers had not been destroyed. They had been transformed. Exposed to human complexity, they had begun to understand concepts beyond pure consumption: creativity, emotion, the value of individual experience. Different alien species processed this differently. Some were terrified. Some were amazed. But all were changed. The invitation came formally. Humans would not just be accepted into the Galactic Confederation. They would become its primary strategic advisors, its most valued members. "We don't want to lead," Harrison said. "We want to help everyone understand that there's always another way, always another perspective." The transformation went beyond military strategy. Alien civilizations began studying human culture, their art, their music, their ability to find humor in the darkest situations, their capacity for hope. Dr. Martinez's psychological research became mandatory learning for entire planetary systems. Rodriguez's quantum creative strategies revolutionized scientific thinking. Chen's work bridged gaps between technology and emotion that no one had previously imagined possible. But the humans remained fundamentally unchanged. They were still loud, still messy, still beautifully, chaotically human. During a break in the conference, Rodriguez was seen teaching alien diplomats how to play something called rock, paper, scissors. Chen was discussing quantum mechanics while drinking what appeared to be an incredibly complicated coffee drink. Martinez was explaining human humor through a series of increasingly ridiculous jokes. The Confederation observers watched in a mixture of confusion and growing appreciation. Ambassador Kren approached Harrison. "How did you do it?" he asked. "How did you transform something so fundamental?" Harrison laughed. "We didn't have a plan," he said. "We never do. We just responded with everything we are." That was the true human strength, not superior technology, not perfect strategy, but the ability to remain fundamentally, wonderfully human in the face of absolute destruction. The universe had encountered many civilizations, but none like humans. As the conference concluded, the holographic displays continued to show moments from the battle. Not scenes of destruction, but moments of creation, of hope, of pure, unbridled human potential. The Void Devourers were gone, but something new had emerged, a universe that finally understood the true meaning of resilience.